into an actual court. Hi, Valerie. How are you?
I'm doing well in yourself. I'm kind of tired, but I said let me try to hang in here for a little while to see what's going on with youth committee.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I'm kind of tired too. I'll try to make it a quick one tonight. I think we can get through this agenda and get some marching orders going for our event in April.
Okay, cool, cool, cool. So how are you doing?
Pretty good. I don't know. The world continues to spin, and I'm trying to get a vaccine sometime, but that's
Well, I think you're a low on the totem pole for right
yeah.
now. Anyway,
I think so too.
maybe 2022. I don't
What?
know.
Don't do me like that, Valerie. No, I was
No.
having a okay day.
We'll see and stuff. They're trying to get it together. It can't be, overnight magic, because we didn't really have a plan in the beginning. So we just, like you say, the world is spinning and you're trying to get on. Like
Yeah,
me, I really didn't learn how to play double dutch, so I'm just like, okay, when do I jump in? When do I jump in?
yeah,
But it's all good.
yeah. It's
So we'll see what
all
happens.
good.
Is that
Good.
your baby?
Yeah, yeah. He's uh he's having an attention moment. Needs some attention. Just
Okay, cool, cool. Because I have cats, and when I'm working, they're making noise and stuff, and it's almost like they're telling me, okay, it's time to take lunch, time for a break. And I'm like, okay, okay. If I work past a certain hour, they're like circling and stuff. Okay, ma, it's
right.
time to get off.
Animals know. They
They
know.
sure do.
Nicholas, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Primo? How's everything going?
Oh, pretty good. Glad to see everybody tonight. Grateful for your time as always.
Oh,
Always
me too.
impressed that this many people come out, from the community to
Yes.
volunteer
Well,
their time.
we gotta help the youth. I mean, I've been working with youth all my life, so it's hard to disconnect.
Yeah, that's right. You know.
I mean, since high school, I'm always in some kind of a youth group doing something besides school. So it's
This
always
is a
good to provide. Yeah.
this is a good one, definitely.
Yes, absolutely. So, like I said, I'm here to support whatever I can do. Yeah.
Appreciate that. Appreciate
Even though you could see the struggle in my sign committee.
In which committee?
My sign committee, there's a struggle power play going there.
Oh yeah, there's a struggle
Yeah,
path.
I didn't ask to join it, but I'm glad I'm there. The Parks Recreation and Culture, and it's so much connected to the youth. So I don't know if you think because you got to deal with the with what's happening in the armory,
Yes, I've heard
what's
a little
happening
bit.
with the parks and all that other stuff because a lot of the youth are in the parks playing basketball.
In the Bronx?
No, I'm talking about in the parks.
Oh, in the parks. Got it.
Are the parks we have. So hopefully we'll
Yes,
get stuff resolved and keep on moving.
that's right. Get some people indoors. I heard that there's going to be a ton of different courts and sports activities at the Armory.
Right. Absolutely. But I don't know, but the district next down to us, they're opening a youth indoor youth facility, including a swimming pool also. I think on Classen Avenue. So I don't know to that extent. Just outside of us. So
Cool. I didn't hear about that.
yeah, that's in the 40th district. The church, they're gonna have the church, the Royastic Churlitism. It's a whole complex that's
mm,
gonna have not only youth activity, business development, and some of the other stuff for some of our members because it's kind of joining us.
So
Excellent.
this is on Clausen and what?
Should be doing class on the Nostrum.
Clausen and Nostrum runs the same way. So, are you saying
Uh,
Clarkson?
Nostrum, no, they're perpendicular to each other.
Are you saying Clarkson, CLAR?
Clarkson.
Clarkson.
Clark.
Got it.
Oh, Clarkson.
Clarkson.
Oh, I
Stay
thought you
where
were saying
things can't be.
Clausen.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying Clausen. See,
No, not Clarkson. Yeah.
Okay.
I work in Clarkson most of my life. I spent 21 years at Prospect High School.
Okay. Right down the street here.
Yeah, I was there when they break it up, when they split it up, when and all that other stuff.
Okay.
I used to be the computer technical person that handled that.
Oh,
all
okay.
the 4 schools. I used to be the one monitoring. I used to be the tech liaison for that whole building.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool, cool,
So
cool. Well, it would be good that they have something at that area so they can, divide it up. So in each area, there's something for the youth to do so they don't have to travel
absolutely,
so, so
absolutely.
far
Yeah.
and to keep them engaged, because that's what it's all
Yes,
about, keeping them
yes,
engaged.
absolutely. Yeah. Because I want to hear a lot more about the armory because I was not aware of too many things. In addition to sports and some of the nonprofit offices, I don't know what other activity they're going to have. Will they have something similar to PAL? And I don't see we speak too much about PAL in our community board.
Well, I'm not sure, because is it PAL or is the
I'm talking about
PAL?
PAL, which is another major youth
Right.
organization.
Because somebody said something about the boys, the police boys club, or is it, I don't know.
Boys and Girls Club of America, do we have one in the district, in the board?
I'm not sure. I gotta go back and look at my notes because I can't remember what someone said about, who's gonna be there and who's gonna be, I guess, the operator.
Oh, okay. Because
So,
most recent as a PAL they're associated with. Do we have one within our board, our community board district? Do you know? Does anyone?
I'm not
I don't know.
familiar. Not
I'm not
really
sure.
familiar with that. The Police Athletic Association, right?
The Police Athletic League, yes.
League, right.
But they want after school program.
That'd be something to investigate to see what's available to be able to share that information with our youth so they have another alternative. Do we have a PAL?
Yeah, it would be good. Maybe somebody could look into that. Anybody
I'll
want to
look into that. I can call and find out. I'll call
Detective Mallory will find out.
right from the community relations person, Mike. I can't remember his last name, but I have his number and I could call to find out if we have a PAL, and if so, how do the young people join? What's the age group? Because I do know that they have like I'm just gonna call them the junior police officer little association they have there,
So
which
like
is
Police
more
Explorers Club.
right, Explorers Club, right.
Yeah.
So, but I'm gonna find out about PAL because I think with PAL there's another opportunity for bonding and building a relationship with the police department when they kind of let their guard down a little bit and be on the athletic side of things,
Yep.
Police kind of get right with our community, that's for sure.
I know, because they've been busy these last couple of days with that little 9-year-old girl spraying her.
That's
What
right.
is that about?
Yeah, it's no good. It's no good. It's really bad. But let's get started on our agenda. We're gonna have a smaller crowd tonight. A few people emailed me and said that they couldn't make it. So why don't we dive in? And I think we can make quick work of this agenda tonight. So what we had planned. We're going to talk about HBCU night, but I don't know that anything ever really took off with that. I know Tyler posted on the Instagram, but homeboy, what's his name, Dre, is not here. So we'll jump over that. I think that was supposed to have happened last night for Howard University.
I thought wasn't it tonight?
Maybe it's tonight. Maybe that's why he's not here. It was either last night or tonight. I know it was one of the first 2 days of the month. So hopefully he can, provide an email update to us about that. But I think most of our time tonight should really be about forward.
Thursday, Primo.
It's on Thursday?
Yeah, it's on the 4th, 2-4, yeah, from 5 to 7.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll email him and see if he needs anything from us.
Okay.
To move that forward. But
yeah, if it's a link that would let us participate, if it's online, that would be nice as well, so we can have a presence in the event and we can invite people.
Right. I think there is, Tyler, was there a link in the thing that was posted on Instagram?
Yeah, there was, and then I had to switch it out for the NYC Public School Film Festival link. But I can repost this as a story with the link, and then I can email it to everyone.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
it would just be helpful to email it. I'm not sure everyone's following the Instagram.
I think it's also in the email that the office sent. I think they
Yeah.
sent a post. and stuff
Right.
like that.
It is.
Yeah, and Khaled, yeah.
We'll send a follow-up email from this meeting and include it there, so everything's kind of in one place. But yeah, I
Okay.
think right that it's in that email. But so yes, Pamela, we'll get that sent out. And it is on Thursday from 5 to 7. And then I think the rest of the evening is really about kind of forward planning for the event itself. Rashida unfortunately can't make it to this meeting tonight. I know she's going to be taking the lead on one side of it, which is the financial literacy component of the event. So I'd be interested in what other folks think about the financial literacy component. We'll get back around to that. But for now, you know, there were a few things that I had on the agenda. One was making a flyer. Two was the financial literacy component, also making sure that we cover the jobs component, and then maybe involving youth in the planning / execution. I've been having conversations with Kira Lee, so maybe there's something else to involve there. I'd love to also put our heads together around what we'd like to request in terms of a budget for this event. I've been told that there is some money potentially available, so instead of us buying a bunch of gift cards this time around, we can put a budget request out early so that we could give them enough time to approve it and maybe get some money from some places, and then, you know, finally next step. So really just about planning for our event in April, which is April 6th from 5 to 7, and then making sure that we have some next steps coming out of the meeting so that we can actually start to dig in and don't have it be similar to the youth speak out where we were all scrambling 2 weeks before the event to get more participants. So the earlier that we can get out in front of this, the better. And then Talicia, now that I mentioned that Kira Lee, I realized that we also have a potential request out to your 2 students to be involved in the youth services committee, and maybe we can come back around to that unless you want to give us an update now.
Sure, I can chime in with an update. I know right now we're just wrapping up finals and the girls have been totally overwhelmed. So I think in a few weeks I can check back in, maybe after February break. I think they'll feel more refreshed. I can check in with them then.
This is the dark period for sure at the DOE.
For all of us, yeah.
After coming back from that holiday break, basically we've got to go through the end of March with like almost no breaks.
Yeah, it's tough.
Really hard. It's really hard. So my thoughts are with you. Okay, so in terms of the event itself, I think we should be kind of, you know, realistic, but also, you know, ambitious. So what feels like what are the outcomes almost that you would want to come from this event? Let's start there. Like, what's our goal?
I guess one of the goals would be for the financial literacy side is maybe to provide the young people an opportunity to understand about maybe budgeting their money, maybe the entrepreneurial side of being financially lit, because I spoke to someone that possibly might be willing to do a little workshop or speak with regard to entrepreneurship, because he had to change his format because he's a fitness, he doesn't call himself, does he call this, not a trainer, he calls himself a fitness coach versus a trainer. And he had to change his whole format on, you know, his program, because before they were working out, coming to his spot, doing things. So now he's online, so he had to look at things on how to be resilient. Maybe investing, preparing for the future, savings, retirement, you know, even though that's way out in the future. These are just things that I'm throwing out, because had I really paid real attention when I was younger, that I would have maybe had quite a bit more money saved if I really looked at what the value of the dollar was, and to look at, okay, I want those new sneakers, but do I need 3 pair in 5 colors, you know, 4 or 5 colors of the same $200 pair of sneakers and look at the value of that versus investing. At the financially lit thing last year, I was talking about my Disney stock. At that time, it was $144. It's like $177. So it's like, for my initial investment of like $45 per share, is increased to $177. Yes, it's been over 10 years, but 40 some dollars to 177. That was the sacrifice that I made and said, okay, I'm going to put this money here to the side to watch it grow. So that's just my little input.
I think investing is, so those are all good ideas, like budgeting, entrepreneurship, and investing as some, I think investing is on everybody's minds these days after all the news that investing has made recently. So I'm sure that it'll be something that young people want to learn about. So are there any other goals that other folks think like they would like to be included in the financial literacy? Go ahead, Tyler. You're on mute though.
It wasn't necessarily about the financial literacy aspect. I just think that so I just want to get a clear concept of what this is. Sorry, I wasn't at the last meeting. Is this like the job fair? What this would be?
So at the last meeting, we essentially decided to kind of combine the job fair with the financial literacy event.
Okay.
So to make an event that's like under the general umbrella of financial wellness that can both be opportunities for them to connect with jobs and also to learn basic financial literacy. And so I think that like the event will probably be split into like 2 halves or 2 rooms, and maybe, we'll have participants cycle between those 2 different spaces, one of which is an open jobs fair, and the other of which is a kind of financial literacy component.
Okay, and I was thinking maybe we can have like guest speakers from like different fields as well. Maybe like I know I work at the social work school, so if any students are interested in social services or things like that, and then I go to Steinhardt and I myself wouldn't mind speaking about like ed policy and stuff like that if people had any interest in public policy at all. So I think just helping students like kind of gauge what different fields they may be interested in have to offer would be kind of cool.
Just to add to Tyler.
Yes.
One thing that you guys talked about last time was resume writing, overview of the past. That was something that you guys said that was important. And I do agree to kind of like talk about, who you are, what you're about, and then internships. Y'all talked about that as well, and a college fair. So those are just some of the things. Oh, and I did talk to my club, and they'd be willing to partner with us to help us with whatever you guys want of them.
Awesome. And Pamela, thank you for raising all that. For context, the college fair is happening on Thursday. So that's the HBC Unite event, and that's happening from 5 to 7 on Thursday.
Right.
And then resume writing, I think we could include in this event, or we could hold a separate event. Feels like now we have almost like 4 different events, and I think we can fold internships under the jobs.
Job fair, yeah.
Yeah, so we could do like jobs, internships, financial literacy. I feel like I'm tempted to include resume, but I don't want to include like almost too many rooms. We could also alternatively give students the option of going to different spaces, but I don't know how folks feel about that, right? Like to do that many rotations in one event can be a little exhausting for participants and also for the people who are hosting spaces, because what you would probably do is have 2 different or 3 different cohorts of students, and then they would go from room to room almost. But that means that the presenters have to give the presentation 3 times, which can be a lot. Or alternatively, you give students the option of going to different breakout rooms and hearing the presentation once, but then it means that students have to miss out on a certain portion of the event. So I don't know. Talicia, you were about to say something. Tell me.
Yeah, so I'm thinking maybe we could have like a panel at the start where everyone is in the same room. And then we have those panelists go into rooms where if you have some questions that you want to ask them, or if you want to connect with them. And then on the resume end, one, I think it would be nice if there was a room where, like, if you want your resume kind of evaluated, you want some feedback on it, you can go into that room. And I actually have a friend who said that she is willing to help with that, with the resume writing. So, and I also have a friend who is a CPA who is willing to talk about financial literacy. Um, but I do think that that would be the best way to make sure that everyone kind of gets all of the information and those panelists are not overworked.
Talicia, you came prepared. I appreciate you so much. Look at you.
Thank you.
um, that's great. So we have somebody for resume writing, yeah? So I'm just,
Can I add something to the resume writing? I was a guest at an event, and one thing I learned about resume writing is each field requires a different kind of information. And I just thought that was really, really interesting. So when you talk about resume writing, um, I think maybe if you're interested in the field of business, or if you're interested in the film business or psychology, those are different types of resumes. So I think that would be something to kind of like point out to people on the resume writing kind of thing, because it changed so much.
yeah, I think that's a good note. Something I certainly do whenever I apply for a new job, I rewrite my resume because every job has a different skill set that they're looking for, and so that's definitely true across different fields, but also even true with about different jobs in the same field. Um, so good tip. So Talisa, you said you have a friend who would be willing to help with resume writing. And then you said you have a friend who's a CPA who would also be willing to help out with the financial literacy component.
Correct. They both said, like once we're solidified on our date and time and we know exactly what we want from them, just to let them know.
Okay. So we are solidified on our date and time, but I guess this meeting is to determine exactly what we would want from them. I do like the idea of opening with a panel. Um, that would be a great way to start while kind of people file in, and that way we can cover a broad range of things. And then for the kind of the second half of like the jobs component and um the jobs component and the financial literacy component, do folks feel like it would be right to kind of just have two sessions happening separately, or just from a and then offer students the opportunity to kind of switch over to the other one? We can just move them, or do you think we should do kind of everybody in one session and then everybody in the next session?
Maybe if we could have each session be like half an hour to 45 minutes, and then we have two groups and then just switch them like that as whole groups. So like the first 45 minutes, they'll spend time in the jobs, and then the first group will spend time in jobs, and then the second 45 minutes, they'll switch to financial literacy. So everyone just sticks with their same group. So it's not just like random people switching.
I
Okay.
like that.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah.
And so how much time do we have for this event? Let me just double check, or unless somebody has it on hand quicker than I can get to my calendar appointment. I guess in theory we can always make it as long as we want to, but we don't want to
You
make
said 5 to 7.
5 to 7. That's a lot of
That's 2
time.
hours.
It's 2 hours. That feels long. Does that feel long to everybody?
Yes, to keep
For
somebody
Zoom,
attention.
yes.
It feels long, right?
30 is
Oh,
more, digestible for the kids once they see a
Yeah.
flyer.
yeah. Okay, so then let's do 5:30 to 7. Cool.
Sounds good.
Okay,
Yeah.
we'll do 5:30 to 7. And then I'm just like writing out an agenda. So we do a opening as a panel. or we'll do whatever, an opening or welcome for 5 minutes. Welcome. And then we do a panel. So the panel, how long do you think the panel should be? 30 minutes? That feels like a reasonable amount of time, right? Is that cool? And we do 30 minutes. Oh man, then time gets tight. We want to do 2
How
rotations.
many people are you gonna have in the panel?
Probably not that many, because if you have a lot of people in a panel, then it may be 3. You know,
So you wanna give 15 minutes to each or 10 minutes to each?
I mean, you have a moderator, I think, and then, you ask a series, maybe like 3 to 5 questions for the panel to respond to. They'll be able to prepare in advance, but we'll make sure that we kind of bring in each person.
So 3 people, 4 plus the moderator. So if they assign 10 minutes to each, so you're about 40 minutes. So you say 45 minutes should be good.
Yeah, it's just if we do 45 minutes, then we'll only have 45 minutes for the next 2 rotations. And then it gets complicated.
So maybe what we can consider is possibly have them to do some type of overview or presentation of what their focus is for, say 5 or 7 minutes per person, so that their whole thing should be finished within the 25 minutes or so. So you can have like maybe 5 minutes to switch over to the next thing. And then each group, I don't know, it's going to be 30 minutes in the room, allowing them 30 minutes in the room so that they can discuss. Because you're gonna have your welcome. So I'm thinking the whole first piece would take less than 30 minutes to do your welcome, for them to speak on whatever it is and give them an opportunity to ask questions. And then you move to the next spot, because you want to keep their attention, you want to keep them active and participating in the process. So I don't know if that will be sufficient time. Will they have a PowerPoint, something that they could see and visualize, or they're just going to be just talking, since we're on the Zoom format versus in person? I don't know. I'm just throwing
Yeah.
that out there.
I would imagine for a panel, we might want to not have presentations, but have people kind of describe what they do. Otherwise, people will launch into presentation mode and then they'll talk for 10 minutes.
Okay, so then
And
the
then we're
little
gonna-
5 minutes to give
Yeah.
an overview of what they do, so that
Yeah.
can give them ample enough time to be able to present the information and afford the participants an opportunity to ask questions, engage, get
So
their
do like-
resume information.
Like 10 minutes of kind of talking about your job, and then do whatever, 10 minutes of questions afterwards. Does that feel reasonable?
Well, are the panelists are going to be the ones that take them into the breakout rooms?
I don't think so. I think we'll. I mean, that's a question to the group. I would imagine that the panelists, we'd have people from a, I don't know, diverse range of different jobs. We could have somebody who works in, business, somebody who works in law, somebody who works in medicine. I mean, I don't know.
No, because the only reason I was asking, because once they do the overview, then you could, when they go into the breakout rooms, they could continue the question and answer conversation with a little presentation. And that gives them more time to feed based on what they heard in the panel conversation.
Yeah, I like
That
that.
sounds good.
Like if someone talks about resume writing, they do the 5 to 7 minutes on what resume writing is, they do their spiel. But then when they go into the breakout rooms, that's when they can have the deeper conversation and answer those questions. So at least the students can come up with questions because they've heard the overview.
Mm.
And that'll keep them engaged. And you can let them know up front. After each panelist will go into breakout rooms, you choose what breakout room you want to, you get to see all breakout rooms. So listen to all the panelists, and then questions and answers that you have will be in the breakout sessions. So you get to hear somebody speak, but then you get to have that personal conversation. I think that would engage them.
I like that idea. How do other
What
folks
you
feel?
young people think? Talia, you think that'll work? Okay,
Yeah, I do. That's a good idea.
so you have your literacy, so you're gonna talk about what literacy is. And then you said you have your resume writer already. And then are you gonna have another panelist speaker, and what is it gonna be about?
Yeah, I mean, it would probably be someone from one of the jobs, right? That will be the second breakout room, because we're gonna have financial literacy and we're gonna have the jobs internships. And so maybe that person can speak a little bit about kind of what it looks like to work in that field, which could pique some interest for the jobs fair portion.
Right,
And so who it is still a question mark, because I don't think we have any folks locked in as jobs fair people. And I think that's probably the next thing that we really need to talk. So I'm like comfortable with the structure here. We do a panel to open for 30 minutes, right? We do 2 different breakout rooms, one about financial literacy, one that is jobs and internships. And I think that would probably be like a good consumable event for the kids, and probably something also that we can manage from a planning perspective. So let's start with that assumption. And then, I mean, that brings us kind of to the next point, which is that we need to plan those 2 different portions. And so, Talicia, since you mentioned your friend was a CPA and willing to help, I think what you should do is connect with Rashida Siddiqui, who's kind of running point on the financial literacy portion like she did last year, and then she's going to ask somebody else. I think having 2 people for the financial literacy portion is more than enough. So I think that would be good. And then for breakout number 2, for the jobs fair, that's probably the piece that is going to need the most actual action from this group in terms of reaching out to folks in our network who can actually activate. And so I think that there's probably like one thing that we need to get that going, which is 2 things. We need to make a flyer, and we need to make like a draft email so that we can send it out to our networks and see who would be interested in attending. Is there anything else that I'm missing in terms of like things that we need to do to get this off the ground?
So I'm just need kind of clarification on the jobs piece.
Yeah.
So I'm a student and I've listened to the presentations about financial literacy, resume writing. So now I'm going into my job fair room. In the job fair room, there's going to be what going on? Because, you know, what we've done before, we had 40 participants and they all had a separate table, and the students were able to like rotate from table to table to get information. So as a participant, say we get 25 students and they're going in the room for the jobs, what is the experience going to feel like? You know, how am I getting this information about jobs and internships? Is there one designated person, 2 designated people, whatever? You know, how am I going to get this information about the jobs? Versus the financial literacy, they're going to kind of, you know, give me some feedback, you know, that could be good for everybody, and everybody can listen to like the 1 or 2 presenters at a time. So as we reach out to our 40 vendors and we get 25 that say, okay, I want to participate, what does that feel like?
That's a great question. I don't think we're going to have 40 people come this time because jobs are a little scarce.
Yeah,
But
I know.
I'll put the question. I think your question is a good one to be answered by the group.
well, let me say this. When we talk internships, right, because jobs and internships, young people still have to do some type of community service, right?
Depends on
So,
what school you go to.
huh?
It depends on what school you go to. Some schools require community service, some schools don't.
Right, so maybe that's something we can consider. I don't know, you bring up a good point.
Yeah,
What we're gonna take away.
yeah.
We gotta have websites or something available for them. Some type of, you bring up a valid point.
You
with the
bring up a
jobs. And,
very valid point. What does it
Yeah.
look like? I mean, also, okay, so here's a few things that I'm thinking, a few different ways that this could look. One is we basically have like 3 to 5 presenters and that's oh man, there's a few different ways. Okay, you could have a few different presenters in the same room who are kind of answering questions about what it looks like to work, you know, with their job opportunity. Option number 2 is you present the students with an option of which you can basically do breakout groups inside of breakout groups. And so like you offer each student, they can like click on a box that says, I want to go and hear about this job, or I want to go hear about this job. But then that takes away the opportunity for them to hear about all of the jobs that are available. But it's kind of the same at a fair, right? Like you don't talk to all 40 different jobs places that are available. You probably want to talk to, you know, 1 or 2 of them, or maybe 3 or 4 of them. So that way students have the option to go and pursue the thing that they're most interested in. Or option number 3 is we don't actually have jobs come and present about what it looks like to work for them. Instead, we do something about you know, resume writing or cover letter writing, and then we send an email to all the participants after with kind of a resource list of job opportunities.
That sounds good.
So those are a few different things.
That answers the what. And you know what? If we play our cards right, we can have the dates ready for the rest of our upcoming meetings and share that information with them to get them wanting to come back.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. Like hosting a virtual job fair is hard, right? Because it's not the same as being in a cafeteria and being able to go around. And for students to have individualized conversations with the people who are representing, it becomes much harder in a virtual format.
So maybe that's a good idea then, that we, you know, focus on the resume writing. I don't know if we have time to talk about how to be resilient now in this particular pandemic area, how you now apply for jobs, how you look for jobs. So because the experience is totally different than it was, you know, pre-COVID, where, you know, we were in the cafeteria, there were 600 students walking around and we had all those vendors there and they could pick and choose. But now they have to kind of really figure out, because, you know, I don't know, there's not going to be a summer youth program like they had in the past. And a lot of opportunities are definitely going to be different. So I think that having a focus and having the resource list will be really great for them.
Yeah. So maybe that's what we aim to do, is send a resource list to all of the participants afterwards that shares kind of all the different jobs opportunities, which maybe with Sampa's organization, right? Or maybe with different folks that we've talked to, but it also kind of relieves the pressure from the jobs people to actually show up at the event. And maybe then we move to doing resume writing for portion number 2 of the event, you know, and we kind of knock that out. How do folks feel about that?
I had a suggestion, sorry,
Yes.
before you move on. I don't know if you mentioned anything about interview questions, but like I feel like that's like the next step, right? If you're in that process as a youth, right? You got your resume, looks tight, you know, you have the interview, but then how do you maybe like a mock interview, or maybe just to help people through like what interview questions answers would be appropriate for certain interview questions. I don't know if that'll be a component of your event.
Yeah, I think that would be cool. So we could do resume and interview prep. I mean, we could do both, right?
Yeah.
The other thing is, like, I feel like basically anybody on this call is going to, I mean, I certainly could run a resume and interview workshop myself. I mean, it's just a part of working. You got to prep for that. But we could find somebody also if we wanted to look externally. It may slow things down, but I feel like we have the talent enough on this call itself to run a resume and interview workshop. We have a lot of working adults here who are probably familiar with this process and could give some good pointers. So I guess are we pivoting then? Are our minds made up? Like we should just do financial literacy resume interview and then send out a listing, a series of job listings after the event.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
Yeah,
much
I
easier.
like that idea.
yeah.
I don't want to throw something else out there.
Don't throw anything else out there, Valerie. No, I'm kidding. Go ahead,
Yeah.
of course.
But what about what about your presence on social media and stuff? Because I don't know if the employers are still checking what your Facebook page is looking like. Because what you put out there is permanent, you know.
Yeah.
And not to say that social media is not important and it's not a part of their life right now, but it's just, you know, maybe a couple of little points for them to consider as you post stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
That's a valid point.
The kids have adapted. What they do now is they don't use the real name on Facebook. They just use nicknames. It's clever, but we should include that in the resume portion.
Yeah.
Dre, Shanae, welcome. We have just been talking about planning for the event. We've pivoted a little bit in our thinking and probably what is the right direction, which is doing a virtual jobs fair is really difficult. And so instead, you know, just for what we're used to doing as a cafeteria where kids can walk around and go to different booths, you can't really do that on Zoom. And so what we'd like to do instead, I think, is open with a panel, maybe a jobs panel. Shanae, maybe you want to talk on that one. Probably be cool to have somebody who works in sports. And then any of us could probably also do the jobs panel, or, you know, we could find some professionals who have interesting jobs and exciting jobs to young people and put them on the panel. I think that's a lighter lift. And then portion number 2 of the event is kind of a resume writing and financial literacy component, and kind of switch between those 2 different options. So we'll rotate people. And then afterwards, what we would do is send out a listing of job opportunities to everyone who participated. And that can also be something that gets the students excited about coming. And so now we're kind of moving into the actual ownership piece of this event. There's some work included in this, right? We need to find participants for a jobs panel. We need to get somebody to work on the financial literacy piece. I feel like we actually have that covered because Talisia has a friend, and then Rashida also has a contact from last year. I think 2 people is probably enough for the financial literacy portion. And then for the resume writing and interview and job interview piece, I don't know, it's up to the group. Like, should we just do that in-house, or should we try to find somebody externally who would lead that?
If I can offer some insight on that, there is actually like a pipeline program that is funneled through the restoration, where they actually work on resumes and they actually seek for people to help with their resumes. The only thing is, I'm not sure if this is going to be a workshop where it's like get it done on site. However, if it's like that, I think there's a way to where we can request the representative who works on the resumes to try to just be present, because they can, you know, help with people on site if they're available, if it needs to be done on site. But if not, it's one of those things where it can just be like, all right, well, submit, and then we can, you know, have your resume sent around in a week, or sign up for this program. That's another thing. But if you want, I can just ask the point of contact if they're available to help out with people. But the only thing I'll need is I'll need an exact list of or number of registrants who will actually be submitting for resume assistance
Before the event, or?
Yeah, that's one of the things that the restoration requires. Like if I'm requesting an event, for example, if there's events that are more so like outreach for hiring events or anything like that, that there has to be some sort of task or something that is going to be done from the restoration, like with the services rather, then they'll need to report something with some sort of that's more so analytical of based on like registrants. So that's just something just to provide context. If that's not feasible, because obviously like, it's it's probably one of those things where you have to really wait and see how many people can come, and then people can register to the day of.
Yeah.
Then that's understandable. But like I said, if you can even go based on, the projected number by, 2 weeks out, and I can submit that and say, well, this is where they're at currently. And, there can be, folks that can help in that capacity. But again, and also another thing, just to put in context, if this is just one person, it might be a task if there's going to be, a whole bunch of people looking to get their resume done that same day. That makes sense. So I would love to learn more about like your ideas on the, just the infrastructure and kind of more so the strategy. And then I can present whatever you want me to present to the restoration. But we'll definitely have to say there's going to be, there's X amount of registrants that are registered and so forth. So that's just an idea on that I can help with.
Yeah.
So can I get clarification on that though? You're saying that you have individuals through the restoration that's willing to review and assist in the actual writing of the document? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so the restoration actually, so there's a lot of just different community resources the restorations offers, and one of them is resume assistance, and they have actual like resume editors and writers on staff. But right now I can't even determine how many people will be available or what it will look like. But in terms of just trying to request one person or two people, we would still have to go to the restoration and request their services. But what they'll do is they'll be able to help one person by one person, and so forth. So.
And the reason why I brought this up is because I think earlier Talicia said that she had someone that would be able to do a presentation in one of the breakout rooms, possibly for resume writing. And so I was thinking this is just thinking on spur of the moment, that if in the breakout room, we have the individuals get information actually how to write a resume, but on the backside, through Dre's organization, if this is a possibility, they can now take the resume that they have written based on some of the guidelines and the things that we talked about through this workshop, and then filter it in through restoration for them to, to touch and feel and like update it or help them out with the actual resume, because I'm not sure if our format is such that they can, do individual stuff on that night.
Right. And
Right.
And that's a great point. And just now that I think about it more in depth, I would just say like maybe just offering the services that the restoration can provide, because it's for all Brooklyn residents. And they can help with, resume assistance, tax preparation, free tax prep assistance. Like there's a lot of different government programs that, the restoration can offer that we can just provide to the community. So I can, what I would like to do is, and I would love everybody else's thoughts, is maybe trying to see if there's a representative from the restoration who can just present the entire restoration menu that everything focused around workforce development and all of the other services that the restoration has to offer. But that's just something that I can go back to them and present if you all would like.
Yeah, I think that could be good to have for the panel, as we open.
Okay.
And then we can include,
signups,
link to all of the
perfect,
all the information afterwards. I think realistically, when we're talking like, the last event, we had 90% of our kids registered in the last 3 days. So it's unlike students to register for something 2 weeks or a month out. So I think just having someone come and talk maybe for like 5-10 minutes during in the panel section, which is just a piece, would be a good way. And as a data point, you can share with them how many people attended our last event, if they need a reference point to how many people they'll be speaking to. But we've talked about kind of material next steps, and one of which is to just put together a draft email and a flyer for this event that we can all leverage then to reach out to our individual networks.
Perfect. That's amazing. So yeah, I think taking that approach, like you said, with a sign up option, plus somebody to present on a panel, if you in some capacity, would be the best approach. So yeah, I can do that. I can present that.
Awesome.
I can present that.
Great. Awesome. Where were we? What were we talking about?
Primo, myself and Jamie are going to meet this weekend to do the flyer. So is it okay if we set a deadline to have the flyer by like next Monday or Tuesday, a week from today?
Great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Flyer next Monday or Tuesday.
Great.
Amy and Tyler to do flyer. Do you guys also want to write a draft email, or do you want?
We can. Yeah. Well, once you send the 24-hour wrap up of this, I'm sure you took a lot of notes, so I'll know what to put in the email.
Okay, sounds good. Okay. Then basically we would need everybody else to just kind of reach out to their networks, and we should start reaching out to schools and students as well, so that we can get this on everybody's radar as soon as possible and have the biggest possible audience, and not be scrambling at the last minute. But I think the structure makes sense. It's simple, right? It'll be effective, which is financial literacy. Well, first panel, then financial literacy room, also having a resume and interview prep room. And then we are promising to send out a rich list of resources afterwards. So I think there's probably like a few next steps. One is to like track down available jobs and internships in New York City, especially ones where in Brooklyn and ones where we have connections. Will make it a lot easier for the students who are reaching out. And so we need to aggregate those. So like maybe what we can do is say like as a group that we'll each bring back 3 job opportunities that we'd like to add to the resource list.
If you can make one person the point person, I get a lot of job information. I can forward them to an individual so that they can keep up with them. So that could start the list.
Does anybody want to take?
Yeah, I could do that.
Who's
Linda.
I?
Linda,
Okay,
yeah, I could start a trail on it that we could share with everybody so that we all got it up to date. So I can do that.
Yeah, that'd be helpful. Yeah, if you could start a list or a Google Doc or something like that.
Yeah.
That'd be great. Okay. I feel like we
and
have,
then don't forget to resend the flyer for the Black History event.
it's already sent.
Oh, thank you guys, you're the best.
Should be in your email inbox. Hyla sent
Okay.
it. Just
Thank
want to
you,
make sure you're
guys.
actually, did you get it, Pamela? Because I just want to make sure you're actually on this email chain. I don't see your name here.
Make sure I get it, please, because I'll share it out with my group and my young people.
I will forward it to you right now. I'm sorry that you joined our group a little bit later than everybody.
I'm sorry for being a
No,
late
it's
comer.
fine. No, you're blooming well, and you've been a great help. What's your email address again, just real quick?
PAMP.
I got you. 2007.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, I just forwarded it to you. Yes, Dre, we were talking about just sharing your flyer for the event on Thursday at the beginning of the event as well. So next steps, I feel like this is pretty clear. Jamie and Tyler are going to work on the flyer. Folks are going to send job opportunities to Linda, and I will make sure that some other folks are beginning to work on the financial literacy portion. So Talicia, I have to follow up with you about that and connect you with Rashida. And then sounds like Talicia, you also have us covered on the resume portion, and Dre is going to reach out to Restoration to see if they can open up with the interview. Sorry, the panel. But otherwise, I would see that like maybe we'll have the resume folks on the panel and also have the financial literacy folks on the panel so that they can say a little bit about what they do before going out into the breakout rooms. Maybe we can add other people to the jobs panel, but that feels like the simplest way to start instead of involving, 10 different adults and 10 different guests into this event. How does that sound to everybody?
Great.
That's good to me.
Good to me.
Okay. Dre is sending out the information. So you have it in the chat too, Pamela, if you want to share that out with your young people. Simcha, I realize you joined us. If you want to say anything about what, please feel free to speak about Repair the World as well.
Okay, hi everyone. I'm working at Repair the World. We're on Nostrand near Lincoln, and we engage communities in community service. So if you have an organization that needs volunteers, we might be able to help. You're welcome to reach out to me. And we do have a position available right now for young people that's open. It's a part-time stipended community service. It's just 3 months, and the application is due in 2 weeks. You could also email me and I could send you the application. I
Thank
couldn't
you
hear
so
you.
much. I was on mute, but I have your email, and I'll send it in a follow-up to this group so that everybody has it. And it's so you said the application is due before April, right?
Right. Yeah, that's the problem. Sorry about that.
No, we can still send out something separately. So we'll be sure to share that. Well, thank you for joining. How did you hear about the Youth Services Committee? You're on the community board?
I'm not on the community board, no. But part of my position is Repair the World just wants to be more involved in the community, so they're sending me to all community board meetings. You'll see me around.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Hope to see you again. And then Job Corps Scholars. I see you're still on the line. You've hung out with us for a while. Did you want to say anything about what y'all are doing?
Yes, good evening. A pleasure to be here. I initially joined to just provide this information about this free opportunity. I will put it in the chat. Am I able to share my screen? If not, I can just put the information in the chat. Kingsborough Community College, they are recruiting now for their cohort, their spring cohort for healthcare, business, and trade. I just want to get this information out. We presented back in December, and we just want to make sure that the community knows about this. The Department of Labor has given us over $1 million for 18 to 24-year-olds to get their certifications in EMT, welding, construction management, EKG, notary public. So while the young adults are actually pursuing their certifications, they'll also receive services in personal career counseling as well as employment services. Our goal is to make sure that they are job attached by making sure that they're job ready by the end of the session. So I'll put that information in the chat. And then if you guys, the email is there, and if you guys are interested in having us present or share some more information at your event in April, it would be our pleasure. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you. At the very least, we'll definitely include you in the resource list that goes out to all of the students who attend. But I think it's interesting for us to discuss whether be worth having you join for the panel too, which seems to be quickly getting crowded, but
okay, no problem. Yes, and I just have a question for you and for the members as well. How have you guys, or where do you guys think that the young adults are, with COVID? I mean, that's it, we find it very interesting that myself and a couple of our other community-based organizations, it's been pretty tough trying to reach out to the 18 to 24-year-olds. We thought they were on Instagram and Facebook, but they're not there for these type of things. So has anyone been successful, especially as you aim to recruit for this event?
I mean, we had about 50 kids come to our last event, which felt pretty good to
Okay.
us. And I think we're probably hoping for a similar, if not greater, attendance for this event.
Mhm.
I think the greatest success we probably achieved was going in directly to high schools.
Right. Yes.
So,
Yes.
you
Yeah.
know, you build community, you build
Right.
relationships with high schools, and you build relationships with students in the community as well. And you'll see that they'll invite their friends and stuff, and that's how you get a lot of juice. But I think that was the most successful thing. We saw a lot of kids come out from the schools that we reached out to guidance counselors about. So
Right. Right. Yep. We reach out to the schools too. Very interesting.
I would also,
Okay.
yes, I'm sorry to cut in. I would also suggest, especially targeting the 18 to 24 group, looking into transfer high schools. Because
Mm,
the older students and for some sort of job training. Those are the ones that are a little bit more eager. They're still like in a traditional high school. They're definitely too. So I would definitely go looking into the transfer schools.
exactly. Okay. Thank you. Yes, because it's interesting. We either have high school kids show up for their info sessions, or we have young people 25 to 28 show up. But that 18 to 24-year-old, it's very interesting. Yeah, it's not as easy as we thought. So thank you so much. And
One
good
other
luck.
place,
If I may say,
Can I
oh, sorry,
please ask
Valerie.
you a question and get a chance?
sorry, Linda, were you gonna say something?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, if I may say, on the 18 to 24, a few months ago, I began to look at like the kids who are in college between that age in my youth group. And I think I got about 15 or 20, and they're very interested in stuff like that. So if I could share any information you got with them, and maybe you could add them onto your list, stuff like that. But I do have some 18 to 24 in college. The majority of them are in college. Only one or two that didn't go to college. And I know,
Thank you so very much.
and they're like the Zoom, I think they keep like the Snapchat and stuff like that for their friends, but I could always gather them in a Zoom meeting, and they're like scattered all around at colleges, but they're usually would, Zoom in.
Wow. Thank you so much, Ms. Watson. The interesting thing is also it's for students who currently are not in college. So we're looking for the underserved community, the students that graduated, but they haven't enrolled in college. And I know a lot of students have taken gap years with COVID. So I just dropped the information in the chat. That flyer has our website, our landing page. We're having info sessions through February. We start in March. And everything is online. So even if someone is interested in welding, the courses will be online as well. Okay, thank you.
Just one other place to add, the adult education, on the GED. And Mega Evans College have an adult education program, but that's just some other places to look.
Oh, excellent. Thank you. Thank you so very much.
Edgar Evers is a good call. Nicholas, you have your hand raised. So
Yes, I have a question for I didn't quite get her name from the job call. Are there any courses being offered for renewable energy, like solar panel installation and wind turbine installation?
So it's interesting that you say that. We actually have an energy fundamentals certification program that is starting in the spring. And yes, it's actually 3 courses. And that's like a partnership with National Grid. So if a student 18 to 24 enrolls in Job Corps, they would then be able to receive that certification in energy fundamentals for free. So yes.
All right. Okay, you answered my next question. I wanted to know who was providing the training and certification. You said it's National Grid that's doing that?
It's in partnership, I believe, with National Grid. And if you reach out to us, we can get you some more information on that. But I know it's set to start April 8th, from April 8th to June, to mid-June.
Okay.
Okay,
ask you-
so yeah, definitely, yes, definitely. Are you able to see the flyer in the chat?
No, let me check. I have not looked at it yet. I'll go and take a look at it.
If
Okay?
we,
Okay,
if we hosted
No
this
problem.
event on April 6th or whatever date it is that just going to be too late for your programs?
yes, for the first cohort. The first cohort starts May 15th. So what we're doing is we're enrolling students so they can start March 15th. They'll enroll March 15th, and then most of the courses start end of March, early April. So for example, the energy program, it starts April 8th. So it would be a little bit late for the first cohort, but you know, it's good to give the information for the second cohort that'll start sometime in September if interested.
Oh, yeah, that works. September's fine. Okay, thank you.
Actually, on that note, I do want to jump in because I don't want to forget to mention this again.
Mhm.
This raises a valid point that our job fair is usually really late in the year. And I usually get a lot of resources for summer jobs or internships and opportunities for kids, but the deadlines are always by February or March.
Mhm.
So I wonder if next year we should consider moving up the date a bit.
Good point. Man, why can't people just let folks apply to jobs later? The summer, but I hear you.
Right.
I hear you. Okay. Simcha, it is shared in the chat. I can try to share it again. I don't know if there's some.
Right, I see I uploaded the PDF and then I just copy and pasted the contact information there as well. Okay, sure, I can send it to email. If you guys like to put your emails in the chat, I can definitely send you the information along with the catalog. Anything you see in the catalog, we'll pay for.
Oh, okay. She found it though. So she has it. Simcha has it. Okay, great. I will send out next steps to everyone so that we're really clear on it. But we gotta actually start moving on stuff 2 months before instead of 2 weeks before this time. So that's gonna be the most important thing to our success is we gotta take action soon. But we'll have Tyler and Jamie working on the materials that we can all share. And once those go out, I'll just reiterate to everyone what our next steps will be. So all good. So thank you everybody for joining. It's 8:07, record time for a meeting. I'm very impressed. And I'm really grateful for everyone for coming and thinking about creative ways that we can actually execute on this meeting because it would have been a mess to try a jobs fair. Now that we said that out loud, it would have been really challenging. So we're going to do it an alternative way and try to build some skills with the folks who are attending. So looking forward to it. And any last thoughts or questions from the group?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, everybody have a great night and thank you again for coming.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you. Have a good
Thank
evening.
you.
Stay
Good
safe.
good night,
evening, everybody.
everybody.
Okay,
Bye.
good night. Thanks, Primo.
Go
Good
get
night, everybody.
good night.
All right.